So in front of me, I have the current odds for the 2024 NFL Coach of the Year. These are the sorts of lists we look at on June 11th before training camp starts, before the preseason starts, and, of course, before the regular season kicks off.
Should have told you to do this before, just to give us some context.
Mm-hmm.
I will try and look it up now.
All right.
Who won Coach of the Year this past year? And who's won it in let's just say the last 5 years?
Stefanski won it, I believe.
Kevin Stefanski was the NFL Coach of the Year past year?
He's won it twice in 3 years.
He's won it twice.
It's crazy.
That is kind of weird.
So to win Coach of the Year, you have to certainly be in double-digit wins. Only one coach in the last 35 years has won it with less than double-digit wins.
Right.
And you got to go to the playoffs, obviously. But
all right, I've got the last. I'll just give you the last 5. Actually, I'll give you the last 6 because it jumps out at me.
Okay.
In 2018, Matt Nagy won it for the Bears.
Oh, man.
They were 12-4. Harbaugh, the Ravens, 14-2 in 2019. Stefanski with the Browns, 11-5. Vrabel, Titans, 12-5.
Who's unemployed?
Unemployed. Dable, Giants, 9-7-1. Huge improvement though. And then Stefanski, second time this year, 11-6. Man, you look at the list.
yeah.
It includes some guys. Ron Rivera won it twice.
Oh. Well,
Right.
obviously,
Well, he
won
should have.
the 15-1 year.
Yes.
I mean,
Jason Garrett won it
okay.
in 2016. So we did put it up as our Scotty's Vodka poll of the day. Scotty's Vodka, Maryland made, super smooth, loved throughout the DMV. Could Dan Quinn win it? But give us the odds.
All right, I'm going to give you the top odds and then the lower odds, then I'll tell you where Dan Quinn falls. At the top of the list, at tied for plus 1,000, are Raheem Morris, who's taking over in Atlanta, and Matt Eberflus in Chicago. So those guys are both at plus 1,000.
Is one of the favorites. Wow.
Now, these guys at the bottom of the
Where's
list.
Harbaugh? Harbaugh's got to be up there.
Harbaugh's at plus 1,400. Jim Harbaugh.
Jim or John? I was going to
Jim Harbaugh is at plus 1,400. At the very bottom of the list, these guys are both at plus 4,000. Sean McDermott in Buffalo and Kyle Shanahan is plus 4,000. Like, is it out of the realm of possibility that Kyle Shanahan could be the coach of the year?
I think that when the expectations are so high, he's expected to take his team to the Super Bowl.
Okay, but what if his team goes 14-3 and they're dominant? Like, you're not going to give it to Kyle Shanahan?
Okay, but again, who won the?
You're not?
Do you see Andy Reid winning any Coach of the Year in the last 10 years? I don't see Andy Reid at all.
Andy Reid's not even on this list.
It extends past that. He's 60-1. John Harbaugh is 60-1, and I think one other coach is 60-1.
Okay, yeah, I guess this is not every single coach.
It usually goes to, like JP's saying, it usually goes to coaches who are on teams that aren't expected to do well, or maybe they have young quarterbacks.
Right.
And if those young quarterbacks lead you to the playoffs, so I'm guessing Raheem Morris for the
Falcons.
For the Falcons. Well, he doesn't have a young quarterback.
It's when you overachieve.
D'Amico Ryan. How about Ryan? Where is he?
He's at plus 1,400.
Yeah, so young quarterback, not a ton of expectations, but they did go to the playoffs.
I think it's when you overachieve. So could Dan Quinn be a head coach who could win Coach of the Year? Well, depends on how the Commanders finish.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm guessing Cake still hasn't gone through the record and done his win total.
I'm going to wait until week 1.
Right,
No, I mean, I'll get it done. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So
if Dan Quinn goes 10-7 or 11-6, they get to the playoffs, and Daniels has a good year. Yeah, he could certainly get Coach of the Year award.
He's got a chance to do what Daboll did. Daboll won it 2 years ago with the Giants. They barely were above 500 at 9-7-1.
Yeah, but no one expected them to do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's the company that Dan Quinn is in on this list at plus 2,500. Sean Payton, Mike McDaniel in Miami, Dan Campbell in Detroit, and Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, who just inked a 3-year extension, which I believe keeps him there through 2027. So that's
Peyton,
that's the group
Peyton,
he's in.
Tomlin, O'Connell. You said
Peyton, Quinn, McDaniel, Campbell, Mike Tomlin, all with the same odds.
By the way, Tomlin, as far as I can see, he's never won Coach of the Year.
That's kind of crazy.
Andy Reid won it in 2002 with the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. It seems kind of shocking that Tomlin's never won Coach of the Year.
Yeah, that's
Not once.
What year did he start coaching?
I mean, he's
Well,
been in
there
Pittsburgh for a long time.
20-some years.
I mean, I see Bill Cowher won it in 92.
I'm not.
That
Pretty
is
sure I
kinda-
don't see Tomlin.
That is kind of crazy. that he
I'm
hasn't
not
won.
saying Dan Quinn should be a favorite to win this award. I just like his odds just jump out at me. I mean, you got guys like Dave Canales at 18 to 1. Why is Dan Quinn 25 to 1? Raheem Morris and Eberflus are 10 to 1 to win this award. Why can't the Commanders be just as good as those teams? They absolutely can.
I think the Bears, most people believe, are set up for success more than the Commanders.
That's why I think Dan Quinn can win, because nobody thinks they're set up for success, and
Yeah.
they could surprise a lot
They're
of
more
people.
of an underdog.
I will say if you like the Commanders to be a sneaky playoff team, maybe snatch a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you can bet a team to make or miss the playoffs. I would rather bet Dan Quinn to win Coach of the Year, because he's definitely, if the Commanders make the playoffs, he's definitely in the running for Coach of the Year.
Yes.
Yep.
Unless a team is 14-3,
Mm-hmm.
I would think Dan Quinn is a higher candidate for Coach of the Year than any of the others.
So the Commanders are 3 to 1 to make the playoffs.
Hmm.
That's why you put money on Dan Quinn to win Coach of the Year, because if they go to the playoffs at plus 290, Dan Quinn's going to be in the running to be Coach of the Year.
It sounds like a draft T-shirt long shot bet if I've ever heard
jumping
one.
off the page at me.
you have to put some action
Well, yeah,
on
I mean,
it.
yeah, 100%.
It fit-
He would definitely be in the running, but if a team that's not expected to do well has a better record, that guy's going to win it.
Well, it fits the equation of team that underachieved last year by a lot and then overachieves expectations this year. Jason, if the Falcons make the playoffs and the Commanders make the playoffs, what do you think is more improbable?
Improbable?
Yes,
Commanders.
Commander.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why it leads me to believe that Dan Quinn would be a better Coach of the Year candidate
right.
than Morris.
But, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I don't know why he's in the top 5 at plus 1,200.
Who, Morris?
Yeah.
It's because his
But
his
he's got-
path in his equation is a lot easier than Dan's. For instance,
he
the
also
division.
has cousins. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got
the
cousins.
division is a lot easier to make the playoffs than the NFC East. And like you said, you have more weapons and you have more of an established quarterback in Cousins that can lead you to the playoffs.
If you want to weigh in on the MGM National Harbor Lister line, you can do that at 800-636-1067. Are you going to be like Drab and place a small wager on Dan Quinn at 25 to 1?
But some
to
of
be
these,
NFL Coach
but
of the
some of
Year?
these odds tell me that, well, the odds makers tell me they expect the Chargers to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause
with
I see-
Harbaugh
where do you see
14 to
him?
1.
I see him at
plus
6. I see him at 6 to 1 on one of these lists.
Okay, I mean,
So
I'm sure different books are going to give you different
correct
lists.
So
and
let's just say
odds.
he's 6 to 1 to to 10 to 1, whatever. I think that they obviously think Harbaugh's going to lead the Chargers to the playoffs.
I just think that's a tall order for Harbaugh to bring them to the playoffs in year 1 with what looks to be a somewhat depleted
But he's got
roster.
the reputation everywhere
I know,
he's been. He's
I know
been
he does,
a success.
But I don't see the Chargers being a playoff team in year 1. Maybe year 2. I think it's going to take a little more time than that.
How many times do you think Bill Belichick won Coach of the Year? This is on AP, by the way. I guess that's the recognized.
I'm
I'll
going to
say
say
twice.
I'll say
2 times.
2 times.
3 times.
Okay.
All right.
I don't think he should have won it more than that.
Most likely, yes.
But again, the expectations, like you said, the
right,
expectations
people
were
would downgrade him because they would say, well,
they
he's
were
got Tom Brady.
they were in a division that was so winnable.
Right.
So they were going to the playoffs every year. And
It's a joke. It's a travesty that Mike Tomlin doesn't have any, and Ron Rivera has 2.
Yeah, that is a farce. It also tells you that the award is kind of meaningless when Ron has 2. Ron has 1 less than Bill Belichick.
Bruce Arians has 2.
Well, that's pretty crazy too.
But again, when Tomlin was, when the Steelers were dominant, right? They were expected to do well. They had a great defense.
Mhm.
And one of the best quarterbacks. They were always winning double-digit games.
I think it comes
It
down
was all
to
about expectations.
Yeah, I do think it comes down to exceeding expectations And then, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty, it's whether you believe that this Commanders team will do that. So I had the Commanders at 8-9. Cakes, just spend a commercial break and go through the
I
schedule.
mean, it's really killing JP that I haven't picked
This
that.
is when Tomlin should have
Well,
won. This is when
we all
Tomlin
did it.
should have won Coach of the Year. In his second year
Yeah.
coaching, he won 12 games and won the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback.
I mean, that
What year was
it
that?
rookie or I think he might have been a second-year quarterback.
Roethlisberger was second year?
I think so.
All right, maybe you're probably right.
Yes,
Second
because he filled in for Tommy Maddox after he got injured, and then
Got it.
I
Okay,
think
but
then that was
young
his-
quarterback.
But yeah, still.
Second year he should have won it. Then.
Right.
I don't know who won it in
Agreed.
08.
I
but-
agree
08
with
was
that.
Mike Smith, Falcons 11-5.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean it's a you know what?
You know, it's a
It's a counterfeit
It's a
award.
garbage award. It's
a
a
counterfeit
garbage
award.
The more that we think about it, the more we see some of the names on that
It's
list.
a terrible award.
But
It
if you want to
actually
make some
is.
money, I don't think it's a terrible play to go with Dan Quinn. When we went through the schedule, I wanted to have them as potentially a wild card playoff team, and it was just hard going game by game, giving them dubs. So I ended up with 8-9. I think Jason also 8-9, right? When we went through the schedule the first time, and you might have been 7-10.
I can't remember. I think 7 and 10. Yeah, I think they'll be over that 6.5 number. They'll be real close. Depends on the health of the quarterback, but I think they'll be real close to that. I don't think they're going to be woeful. They're not going to be 4-13. I don't think they're going to be 5-12.
Let's hope not.
If they're 4-13, then man,
Well, that would mean that Jaden
That's-
Daniels either
he
got
sucked.
hurt or is a bust.
That
Right,
would be catastrophic for not only the team, but for this collective group
Well, it would
right
just-
here.
it would just be typical, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
But I don't think
it's
they're going
what
to
I'm
be that
used
bad.
to.
I think the roster is much better than 4.
Hey, you see, you guys, you kind of giggle at Mike Smith, but this is the Commanders to me. They went from 4-12 to 11-5 with a rookie quarterback in Matt Ryan.
Yeah, so he deserved it.
Sounds
wasn't Matt Ryan the number 2 pick in his draft?
Okay,
Maybe.
we're talking. This is Dan Quinn, Jaden Daniels, Commanders
Dan
all over
Quinn
again. We're going
used to be in Atlanta. There are a lot of parallels
Well,
here.
look, if Dan Quinn
4
wins,
wins to 11 wins.
if he wins 11 games, yeah, I think he's probably a lock with a rookie
Yes.
quarterback.
If he turns his team from 4 wins to 11 in year 1, if he doesn't win Coach of the Year, it's a bigger travesty than it already is.
But who in this room, in this building, thinks that they have 11 wins in them?
I do not.
And they don't.
I know
JP
they
doesn't.
don't.
Well,
Even Eric Bickle doesn't think they have 11 wins.
I know, but
He wanted to give him
That would be
Yeah.
that would be unbelievable if they got 11 wins.
And Drab's bet would hit.
Oh yeah.
Drab's Dan Quinn bet hits.
I definitely think it's possible. I said
anything's
all along
possible.
when we went through the schedule, I came out lower than what maybe I expected, but that's just looking at the individual matchups. But I said all along, there will be a team that's going to rise up from the ashes like the Houston Texans did last year. And it's not just
Probably.
the Houston Texans. I always bring up the Colts were another team that rose up. They just came up one game short of making it to the playoffs. So
Hey,
can the Commanders be that team? Sure.
maybe Shane Steichen at 14-1 is a good bet to be Coach of the Year. If Anthony Richardson bounces back, they win the AFC South, win 10 or 11 games. I could see betting on a lot of these donks.
I
Not
could
betting
see-
on Jim
it's just
Harbaugh.
I could see Jim
Not betting on
Harbaugh. I
them.
could see Jim Harbaugh get because it's a media vote, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And if Harbaugh turns him around with his personality,
I think he's going to need more than just his personality and force and sheer will to turn that team around.
Well, they've
and make
got-
them a playoff team in year 1.
Yeah, I mean, based on how they played the last few years, I mean, 5-12 is awful.
It's not great.
And Herbert didn't have a great year, plus he got
Mhm.
hurt. But and I don't know how much better the roster is compared to last year. I think they'll be better in 5 wins. But if he turns a 5-win team into a 10-win team, and they get to the playoffs as a wild card, yeah, he'll be in the running.
but here's in Washington what you look at. We assume they're going to have better coaching, right?
No, we don't assume.
No,
It's
we,
a lock.
We know they're going to have better coaching.
Okay.
There's no assumption.
All right. We know that the schedule is softer this year
Yep.
based on the numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and we're assuming they're going to have better quarterback play.
No. Again, not assuming. There will be better quarterback play.
Okay.
These are all carved in stone, JP. They're not assumptions.
All right. Then they should have a better
Should.
record.
Yeah, but by how much?
But we don't know. It's not that easy to
2
say.
games, 3 or 4 games? We don't know. Not sure.
I mean, all those things could be true. You know, Daniels could be better than what they had last year and how, but that could only mean three more wins.
Right.
Could be. We don't know.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
how much better is the deep